Christianity, you can see that in Acts of Apostles 8 verse 17, and the preaching of the Gospels in Acts of Apostles 8 verse 25, were all elements of Christianity as ordered by Christ. That means Christianity was already being practiced, but not yet called Christianity. It was merely a new religion. They considered it a new religion. Now, the encounter between Philip, the evangelist, and the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts of Apostles 8, verse 24 to 40, sheds more light as to how and when Christianity entered Africa. Philip preached, converted, and baptized the Ethiopian eunuch in Gaza. Then he went back to Jerusalem while the Ethiopian eunuch went back to Africa. The Ethiopian eunuch went back to Africa, right? So, when the Ethiopian eunuch went back to Africa, we all know that the conversion of such an important personality would not have left Christianity into the doldrums. Now, take note of the development I'm giving you. An Ethiopian was and still someone from Ethiopia, because it is one of the oldest nations in the world that has not changed in name, people, and position. This is the first instance that Christianity entered Africa. Again, it was not by the white man. Consequently, Christianity cannot be termed a white man's religion. Now remember again, Christianity entered Africa through the Ethiopian eunuch. Think about that. Remember that. Now the second entrance, again, of Christianity is that the Gentiles have surprisingly received the word of God and have been baptized without the apostles coming to them. That's Acts of Apostles 11 verse 1. Probably the contact of the Ethiopian eunuch has spread through Antioch, since the entire region was now like one. As a matter of fact, Rome, that was mostly inhabited by people from the Caucasus, received Christianity the last. So the white man would not have taken Christianity to Africa when Rome was receiving Christianity the last. In addition, Paul, who took the gospel to most of the Gentiles, was born in Tarsus. That's in Acts of Apostles 9 verse 11, a city in Turkey. He could not be a white man. Paul wasn't a white man if he was born in Turkey. If he was born in Tarsus, which was a city in Turkey. By the end of the first century after Christ, Christianity was already in Africa. Before the advent of slave trade in the 15th century and colonization in the 19th century, Africa had already received Christianity. And it has raised up its own saints like Anthony, the Great of Thebes, Antonio Vieira, Augustine, Bessarion, Saint Benedict the Moor, Felicitas, and Perpetua, Catherine Drexel, Martin de Porres, Monica, Moses, the Black, St. Peter Claver, Valentine, and Dubatasius and Victoria. Dubatasius and Victoria. Now, the reason why Christianity had to come to Africa again during the 19th century was because by this time, very few people were now practicing Christians, for most have resigned or backslidden to animism and other traditional religions. It is the same with Europe and America. Right now, America needs a new wave of missionaries to reawaken it to the initial state of the Pilgrim Fathers, because it is competing now with Sodom and Gomorrah. Europe has gone its own path. People always fail to dichotomize between a Jew and Judaizer. Jesus would normally be a Jew, since there was no dual nationalities in their days. Definitely all children and descendants of Abraham were Jews. But the religion that he practiced until the evolution of the same was Judaism. Not all Jews practiced Judaism, and not all Judaizers were Jews. That is why we had Hellenists, called the Grecians, in the church in Acts of Apostles 6 verse 1. Jesus transformed Judaism into Christianity by teaching that rather than wait for a Messiah, he was the Messiah. since Judaism taught that the Jews should wait for a Messiah. While Judaizers do not believe in the original sin, Jesus did believe and taught his believers and subsequent adherents to seek ablution by believing in him. By sending his disciples to evangelize and including Gentiles into the salvific plan of God, he discards the old guard of Judaism and introduces a new religion that would later be called Christianity, when his disciples were called Christians. Acts of Apostles 11 verse 26. Thus, he rejects Judaism. And now, the Christian there stands for the little Christ. So, with such an open rejection that amounted to his death and the abandonment of Judaism by his immediate followers, there is left to prove again that Jesus did not die a Judaizer. Christianity was not practiced in West Africa, Central Asia, and Southern Africa because of the difficulty in transportation. After the encounter of the Ethiopian eunuch, the gospel revolved around North Africa and then went back to the Levante and Asia Minor and then to Europe. The first missionaries to visit West Africa lost their lives than the ones in North Africa simply because it was underdeveloped. There was no need standing up against the missionaries since the West Africans were experiencing the religion as if for the first time.